Hello everyone, this is Code Ode. Welcome back to a new project with Laravel and Livewire. For this project, I want to show you how to filter a list of things using Livewire. And more exactly, I want to show you how to filter a list of posts, and each post belongs to a certain category. We have these two filters right here, the search input, so we can search for the post, and then we have the select to change the category, and of course the list of posts. We can, for example, search for a certain post. Perfect, it's working. You can see that we have that nice loading effect. We can go back to no query, and then we can change the category. Let's see this one. Perfect, it's working. And of course we can search in this category for a certain post, so this one. Perfect, you can see that it's actually working. So this is our project, nothing too complex. Let's get started. So we are back with a fresh installation of Laravel. We are using the latest version 9.20.0. The first thing that we have to do is to install Livewire, and this is easily done using Composer. So open up your terminal window and write Composer require Livewire. This is something that I have already done, so no need to do it again. Now that Livewire is installed, open up your resources directory, views, and then welcome.blade.php and remove everything from here. We want to add the basic HTML5 boilerplate, and for this project I want to use tailwindcss, so https cdn tailwindcss.com. And in order to set up a Livewire, we have to, in the head area, we have to write add Livewire styles, and in the body area we have to write, let's see, add Livewire scripts. And for the body I want to give it pg slate 100. Save, refresh, let's go back in the browser. Of course you have to run PHP artisan serve in order to serve your application in the browser. So we are done, this is working. Okay, the next thing that we have to do is to deal with the database. We have to create the migrations and the models. So we have two tables, categories and posts. So PHP artisan make model category and pass the M flag to also create a migration. Okay, and once again PHP artisan make migration, make model, let's see, model post, and pass the M flag. Open up your database, then migrations, and we have these two files right here, create categories. For this one I want to give it one more column. This is going to be a string and this is going to be the name, and we can set this to be unique if we want. No need for this example, but just in case. Okay, and the posts, for this we want several columns, so table unsigned big integer, this is going to be for the category ID. Then table, let's see, string, this is for the title of this of the post. And then table text, this is for description. Okay, now that we are done with these two migrations file, we have to deal with those two model files. App models, let's see, category. We have to define the fillable property, so protected, let's see, fillable, and we only have the name right here. And then we have to define the relationship between this category model and post model. So post, a category has many posts, so return this has many, and then posts. Okay, we are done here. Open up this post.php. Once again define the fillable property. So fillable, we have let's see, the title and the description. Okay, in the relationship, so public function category, so a post belongs to a category, return this belongs to, let's see, category class. Okay, return mistype. And we are done with this. Now we need to feed our database with some dummy data, and this is done in Laravel, seeding our database using factories, and this is what we have to do right now. In your terminal window, so PHP artisan make factory, let's see, category factory, like this, and then PHP artisan make factory post factory, like this. Now in your database factories, we have these two new files right here. In this definition method, this is where we define the fields and the data for the fields of the category model for this file. So we have only the name, and we want to use a fake helper function. This is using the faker PHP library, which is used to generate dummy data. So we say word, we only want one word. Okay, we are done right here. We have a title for the post, fake, let's see, sentence, and I want 3 words for this sentence, and then we have description, and for this let's see, fake paragraph, and I only want one sentence. Okay, now we are done right here with these 2 files. So open up your, let's see, seeders, and then database seeder.php. This is where we write the code to seed our database. We have to bring those 2 models in, so app models category, and then use app models, let's see, post, this is the namespace. Okay, and this is pretty easy. So category factory, this is starting method, and then we say, let's see, has, because this has a relationship with the post model, and we say post factory, and we say count, and we give this the value of 3 because we want to create 3 posts for each category. And then finally we say count, we say 5, we want 5 categories, and then we say create, and we are done. Okay, PHP artisan migrate. Of course you have to set up your database in .env in this file. So my database is livewire underline filters. Okay, now PHP artisan db seed to seed the database, and we are done with this. So now that we are done with setting up our database and seeding it with some dummy data, it's time to deal with the interface and with Livewire. Open up this resources directory, then views, then welcome.blade.php. Right here we have to define to write some basic HTML. So with full by default, then for medium width we want width 9 of 12, and margin X auto and margin top 10. Okay, and then another div, the margin bottom of 2, and this is where we have that title. Let's see, Livewire filters, class text slate 900, text 3XL. So this is just standard the tailwindcss. Then another div, margin bottom 2, flex, justify end. This is for the filter, so we can actually say filter post component, like this. So let's see, and then we have another div, margin bottom, let's see, 10, like this, and this is for the show post component. Okay, now it's time to create these 2 components in Livewire. So let's see, can close this one. So PHP artisan make Livewire and filter posts. No, PHP artisan make Livewire show post, like this. Now that these 2 components are done, it's time to write the HTML for the filter. So we have this filter dash post.blade.php from this new Livewire directory, which is found in this views directory. So right here we have a div with a class of flex. Let's see, item center in a gap of 2 between the elements of this div, and then we have an input with a type of text, placeholder, search for a post, and a class of border, padding x2, padding y, let's see 1, rounded, and width 64 by default. And then we have that select, let's see, class border, padding 1, x and y, text slate 600, text LG, and rounded. And we only have an option right here, no value, which says select category. Okay, save, refresh the browser, and let's see the result. Of course, we have to bring these two components right here. So this is how you bring a Livewire component, Livewire, and then you give the name of the component, filter post, like this. And we can bring the other one, Livewire show post, like this. Refresh. Perfect. Now that we are done with this, open up your app directory, HTTP, and then we have this new folder right here, Livewire, and then filter posts. This is the render method, which is used to render our filter-post.blade.php, and we want to bring in all the categories. So category get like this, and of course we have to say use app models category like this. Okay, and right here we can say categories like this. And back to our, let's see, back to our filter-post.blade.php, we can actually say right here for each categories as category, and for each option, for the value we want the ID, category ID, and then we want, let's see, category name. Save, refresh, and let's see the result. So we have an error, of course, category arrow ID, refresh. Perfect. So this is the dummy data from our database. Okay, now that we are done with this, it's time to write HTML for show posts for this component. So let's see, and basically do the same. Div, this is going to be a grid, a class of grid, gap of 4, space x1, md grid course tree, which means 3 columns. Okay, then for each, and then we have post as post. Well, not right now, because right now we have no posts, no data right here. Let's see, we have a title h2, class text to Excel, font bold, text slate 800, and we can say this is the title. So basically just the HTML right now to have an idea. So then we have a P with a class of text slate 600. This is for description, a very short description. And finally we have another div with a margin border of 1, and this is a span, which of course is for the category, BG blue 400, text blue 100, rounded, padding x1, text SM, and we can say category like this. And I think, of course, this has to be inside a div, so take all of this, put it inside a div with a class of, let's see, padding x2, padding y3, bg white, border 2, border slate 300, rounded, and then paste it right here. Save. Let's go to the browser, refresh. Okay, and now it's time to bring those categories right here. So open up your show posts component, and we have to define a public property. So public posts, this is where we want to store the post. And every time you want to initialize your component with some data, you can use the method public function mount. This is from the life cycle of Livewire, and it is very useful to initialize your component before it is rendered. So you can actually say right here this let's see, post get all the posts. Okay, so use app modals post. Now that we have access to the post, we can go back to show-post.blade.php, and we can say right here, so before this div, for each let's see, posts as post, because public properties are available in our blade files when we talk about Livewire components. So and for each, and now this is pretty easy. So post title, let's see, post post description, and of course the category. We have that relationship already done. So post category, let's see, name. Save, refresh, and let's see the result. Perfect. So this is the expected result. Now that we are done with setting up the basics of our two Livewire components, it's time to bring in the functionality, and this is pretty simple. Back to, let's see, filter post.php, this component, we have to define two properties, like here, two public properties, category ID, because we have two filters, and public, let's see, query like this. Okay, now back to filter post.blade.php, we have to bind those two public properties. So while model, and this is for query, and this one is while model, this is for category ID. Okay, and right now we have to listen for events on these two on this select and this input. For the select, this is pretty simple. While change, when this is changed, when the change event is fired up, please call this filter method. This is something that we have to create in our filter post.php. And right here, let's see, while key up, we have to use the bounce. Imagine that for every key up there is an HTTP request sent to your server. This is something that you don't want, so we have to give it a delay using this debounce. And then once again we say filter. So right here we have to define that filter method, so public function filter, like this. And what we want to do is to emit an event. So let's see, this is pretty easy. This emit to, and we want to give the name of the component that we want to send this event to emit to. So show post, and then the event that this show post is listening to, reload post. This is something that we have to create, and then the data that we want to send category ID, and this query. Okay, now back to show posts, we have to define a protected property listeners, and this is where we define this is an array, the events that this show post is listening to. So we have that reload post, and this is the name of the event, and then we have to specify the method that we want to use, which is reload post, exactly the same, but in this case we can leave it like this when we have exactly the same name. So public function reload post, so we take in that category ID and the query. This is pretty easy, right? Nothing too complex. And this is also pretty easy. So we say this post, and we say post, and we start a query. So basically we are telling Laravel, look, I'm starting a query right here. I don't know the outcome of this query, but I'm starting a query. So if this category ID is present, then we say this let's see, post is equal with this post, let's see where, let's see, category ID is equal with category ID. Okay, and if this query is present, this. This post, so this post where, and we have to use where like, so where the title like, let's see, like, and we have to use this syntax. So let me find this query, and this is the syntax used when we want to search for exactly this value that is stored in this query variable. We have to use this percent signs to add them as a prefix and suffix. Okay, and now that we are done with this, we simply say this post, let's see, this post get, just like this. Save, let's see, refresh, and let's see if this is working. Let's start with this one. Perfect, this is working. Let's search for something. Let's see, EA, like this. Perfect, this is working, but right now we want that reloading thing. So back to show posts. Right here, let's see, after that div, we have to say div class flex items center, justify center. Of course we want that in the center, and margin top 10, and then we say another div with a style of, let's see, border top color transparent, like this, and we give it a class, let's see, with 16, height 16, border 4, border blue, let's say 400, border solid, rounded full, and animate spin. This is all from Tailwind, so this is going to spin. And right now we are dealing with loading, and this is pretty easy. We say while loading, while the process of HTTP, the process between the HTTP request and the HTTP answer, it's taking place. Please show me this while, of course, the process is loading. Save, refresh, and let's see if this is truly working. Okay, but what we want to do is to stop showing this right here. We only want to show this when it is loading. Let's see why it's not working. So back to this div right here, we can say while loading remove. So while this is loading, while Livewire is loading, please remove this one and show me this one. Okay, let's see, refresh. Okay, let's see. It seems that we have some kind of problem. This is, of course, one mistake right here. We have to put it outside the class, of course. Refresh. So we want ET, for example. Okay, but this keeps loading, and this is something that we do not want. Let's see. So we have while loading. Well, this is loading. Border top color. So let's see why it's not going out when the loading is done. Because this should stop. So let's see. One more refresh. So let's see. Okay, this is not going, it's not disappearing. So we have a problem. Well, I think the problem is pretty simple, and of course, we have made a mistake. We have to put it right here. Now let's see the result. Choose another category, for example, this one. Perfect. So you have to put it exactly on that thing that is animating, that is spinning. So we can search, let's see, ET. Perfect. And right now we are done. So right now we only have just we only have 2 filters, but you can add as many as you want. This is pretty simple. You have the idea. I hope you learned something really useful. See you next time.